Wednesday, May 15th at 7:36 p.m. Apologies for the delay.
Councilwoman Selby,
Present.
Councilman Cardicchini,
Present.
Supervisor Keating,
Present.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Not present.
Councilwoman Martin.
Present.
Councilwoman Martin, may you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this evening we do not have any other preliminary matters. We do have a public hearing, two of them actually scheduled for 7:40. So I'm going to go through a couple of things briefly and we'll get into the public hearing. Under our regular business tonight, item number 2 is the correction and adoption of the minutes from both the April 17th and also May 1st board meetings. And Councilman Cardicchini, would you like to take that up?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt meeting minutes from our April 17th meeting. I see no errors or omissions. I recommend we pass them as written.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Cardicchini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Abstain, I missed the May 1st meeting.
Thank you, and the motion carried.
Okay. Item number 2 under our regular business is the consideration of all fund bills. And Councilwoman Selby, would you like to take that item tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. After reviewing the fund bills, I'd like to make a motion to make payment of $477,593.25.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Cardicchini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we have just about enough time to get to our correspondence. Tonight, there are 13 items of correspondence. All items have been received and filed in the town clerk's office and are made available in the board packet. The first item is the town clerk's report for April of 2024. Item 2 is a dog control officer report for April of 2024. Item 3 is a letter from National Fuel Gas Supply Corporation. Item 4 is a Association of Towns Supervisor Roundtable May 2024 agenda. Item 5 is the NYSEG and RG&E warrant of ongoing scams, which is specifically targeting seniors. Item 6 is the Family Justice Center PowerPoint presentation. Item 7 is the Patchen Volunteer Fire Company Form 990 for 2023. Item number 8 is the AOT, or Association of Towns Newsletter, etc., for May of 2024. Item number 9 is a letter from Commissioner William Geary for the Erie County Department of Public Works, notice of Back Creek Road closure. Item number 10 is the minutes from the Maplewood Cemetery Association. The meeting date was May 4th of 2024. Item number 11 is a notice of raffle from the Boston Fire Company. Item 12 is a letter from the Highway Superintendent TLAC regarding a new hire MEO, Brian L. Baker. And item number 13 is an application for use of meeting facility for the Boston Senior Club. And again, all of those items are on file in the town clerk's office and made available on the town board packet, which can be found online. It is 7:40, so we do again have a couple of public hearings this evening. I'll get that information together here for us. All right, so the public hearing, it reads as follows. Please take notice that the Boston Town Board has scheduled a public hearing at 7:40 p.m. on May 15th, 2024 at Boston Town Hall, 8500 Boston State Road, Boston, New York, on the application of Matthew Colo, I'm going to call Matt Colo, sorry guys, for a permit to store approximately 400 cubic yards of fill at 7008 Umphalius Road in the town of Boston. All persons interested on the matter shall be heard for or against at such time and place, or may file written comments or objections to the town clerk until 4 p.m. on May 15th, 2024. This was dated April 17th, 2024, published April 25th, 2024 by order of the town board, Sandra L. Quinlan. There's also a second public hearing at this time. The address, the public hearing does read the same, and that address is located at 7631 Zimmerman Road, or Drive, I'm sorry. The public hearing is open. If there are any, I know we have a large group of people here tonight. If there are any comments on either of these permits, please come to the microphone, State your name, your address, and the floor is open. Open. Hey, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm Carol Brownscheitel. I live directly on the west side of the property at 7008 Unfilius Road that is owned by Matthew Kolovishek. I might not pronounce his name correctly either, but I'll give it a try. So I opposed the application for a fill permit because I think this perpetuates a problem that goes back to 2018 with Mr. Colo trying to operate his business, Mac Colo Excavating LLC, from that property. I have 11.4 acres. I manage most of it myself, so I'm out very frequently doing mowing, weed eating, etc. And I have very clear view of all the things that happen at 7008 Unfilius as far as outdoors. Mr. Colo began excavating just south of his pond on the property in the spring of 2023. As I understand it from the code enforcement officer, there was no fill permit at that time, and yet his trucks were bringing in materials. I don't know all that they were, but I do know that there was concrete, asphalt, concrete block, soil, etc. being dumped on that site. It's been excavated a number of times. Things have been buried there. I just see this as an extension of the commercial use of his business on a residential property. I'm particularly concerned because I've noticed not only for the environmental, I don't know what's being buried on the property, as well as being stored above ground. I'm concerned because the drainage on my property has considerably changed during that time period from the spring of 2023 until now. Even with the wettest springs in the 43 years I've lived on the property, I've never had standing water on the property. My pond has also been affected, let alone the going in and out of large dump trucks with fill. One afternoon last summer, I was hosting a picnic at my house, and in a 3-hour period between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., every 20 minutes, there was a large dump truck coming in and out, dumping on that property. So I strongly oppose the application for the fill permit. I think it's after the fact. The filling has been done in 2023. And besides the filling, there's still storage of large equipment in clear view on the property throughout the year. During the winter even, besides heavy equipment, there was also a pickup truck parked at the dump site. There's been an older model car parked at that dump site as well for long periods of time. So my main opposition, obviously, is because it decreases the value of my property, having an ongoing commercial operation on the property next door, and I believe it's impacted the neighborhood as a whole by having this commercial business in an area that's zoned residential. Thank you for your time, and also I did submit to Ms. Quinlan on May 14th a 2-page letter detailing my concerns, which you should have in your packet for
We do.
you to look at if there's nothing that I explained to your satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody warm in here? Is the heat on?
It's set at 78.
Oh, jeez.
It means the setback turned off.
Sorry about that.
We'll bring in the palm trees next time and some sand.
Anyway, I'm David Richards. I live at 7675 Charles Drive, which is off of Homestead, kind of in back of all this, what's going on here. And I just want to know why there's a residential business going on in a non-residential area. It shouldn't be allowed. If it's a commercial business, it doesn't belong in a residential area. The bill you bring it in, what do you do with the runoff? What's he doing with the runoff? What's he doing with dust control, all the rest of this? It's not suited for the area. My suggestion is, why hasn't it been shut down? This has gone way too far. Thank you for your time.
And I will say, just while we're all here tonight, of course, public hearing is for you to speak and go to the board. In my report, sir, I will answer that question also for everybody else. I will say that we've done research on that, and I can provide that answer to you.
Hello. My name is Kristen Pinker. I'm the owner of 6872 Umphalius, which is 2 doors away from Mr. Colo, downhill from his property. I did submit a letter to the board, which you should have in your packet. I certainly won't bother you reading through it. I'll just talk about some of the high points. I am strongly objecting to the permit application, but I can just summarize. Number one, approving a fill permit for this address would enable Mr. Colo to operate a commercial excavating business from his home on Umphalius. You've heard that once before. Property is not zoned for commercial use, and his requests to do so were denied back in 2019 by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Colo is already dumping waste from his business and burying it on his property without a permit. This is a violation of town code, both for the dumping and for the noise, which easily exceeds the noise limitations of the town ordinance, as I believe to be 60 to 70 decibels. We've already heard this spring, the dump trucks and the heavy equipment going in and out of the property. I can't really imagine what it would be like to be right next door or 2 doors away, and it's loud. There are also issues for the Department of Environmental Conservation because there's no stormwater permit or pollution prevention plan. These are required by the DEC for any excavation project that's an acre or larger. As a downhill neighbor, we're especially concerned about the runoff from the operation. Our yard is very wet in areas that have never been wet before in the 50 years that we've been there. I ask the board to please consider these issues and deny Mr. Colo's requests for a fill permit. It's not zoned for commercial use. Request was denied in 2019. Trucks and heavy equipment violate the noise ordinance and environmental concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Russo. I live just north of the property that I'm talking about on Eddy Road, 7897 Eddy Road, about 2 to 3 doors down. I guess a couple questions for the notes that you can answer later here. Just wondering if it is requiring a zone variance from residential to commercial, wondering what kind of permits are needed. I'm wondering if there's a solid waste land clearing debris permit from the DEC that he's going to have. Curious about the traffic up on the hill. I guess as a resident, what regulatory authority will there be when we have issues? Who's going to keep an eye on this? Who do we call when we think there's an issue? We're curious where the fill is coming from, especially from the northern counties that we've had issues with in the past. Looking to see if there's going to be any fencing or barriers in place, or is this going to be visible to all the residents in the area? I think this is mentioned previously about stormwater runoff in the water table and tributaries. Curious about that. Curious about how this will affect property value when there's a commercial operation happening in a residential area. Let's see here. I guess I'm looking for an answer on the fill storage permit first. And if we don't have answers to all of this, if we can just kind of table this approval until we get answers. I think that is about it. I guess last, we live in a nice, quiet area. You guys have done a great job keeping it that way. I'm just looking forward to stay that way, that's all.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So, not very good at talking in public, but I guess I'm a little disappointed that everyone is so upset with everything. It wasn't ever my intention. As far as what seems to be the concern, seems to be the biggest thing is commercial use. It's not commercial use. We are just try, well, not me, I'm trying to make it more usable behind my pond. It's wet, slow, and I wanted to, it's for my personal use. It's nothing to do with the business. The business moved when we had this last hearing, and I have stuff up there because I'm working on my property. It has nothing to do with business. It has everything to do with because I own the stuff to do it, so stuff is up there. When I'm working on the property, it's there. When it's not there. Things move a little slower for me. I'm busy a lot, so I don't come in and do whatever I'm doing quickly. And I'm sorry if that affects anyone. As far as storage, we're not storing anything on the property. It's not being brought to the property to then leave. Like I said, I was just trying to make it more usable behind my place, and I think it was misconstrued that we're trying to just dump things there. Obviously, I don't bring anything there that's bad. I mean, it's my own property, not that I do that anywhere else, but I have no intentions of that. And I have no intentions of bringing things from way out of the way to my house. I mean, I've got to drive the trucks up the real steep hill, and why would I want to do that? I've got a ton of other places to bring stuff. The only reason I want it back there is for it to be nicer. I can't use that part of the property. As far as stormwater runoff, no more rainfall is on that particular area. There's no, we haven't changed the amount of water that runs anywhere. If someone's having an issue with something, I invite anyone to come talk to me. I'm not someone that cannot be talked to. I wish that people would have if they had a problem, and it seems to be whether someone doesn't want to or I don't know. But I'm more than happy to help anyone around me. I don't want people upset with us. I live there, and I don't like having the neighborhood upset. If anyone has questions for me, feel free to call me. Anyone, it does not matter. Trying to think if there's any other questions that people brought to attention, I guess. I just want to make sure it's clear that we're not storing anything there. We started doing this, well, I believe before the permit was put into play, like we were filming back there before the fill permit in Boston. So the stuff that's there, I mean, it's been there, I guess, but I wanted to continue to fill that to make it nicer back there. As far as anything else, I guess if you have questions, just please ask.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, but if you don't mind, just for the record, if you don't mind, just stating your name and your address for the record.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Matthew Kolchak, 7008 Ophelius.
Thanks.
Okay, I mean, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
What was the fill that you put in that? Like, we have some pictures that were given to us this evening. Like, you know, and we're all friends here, by the way. I mean, issues pop up from time to time, and we're just trying to do right by the residents and, you know,
Yeah, I understand.
by everybody involved. But, you know, we've got these pictures from Mrs. Braunscheidel's property. I mean, what, you can step forward if you want to see these.
Sure.
Like, what were you putting in here? What went into the ground? Is that, I guess we asked it.
Well, it's Playville, and I see that they have pictures of one of our trucks.
Yeah.
So that's one of our pieces of equipment, the ones that are working next to, planting the row of pine trees. And, I mean, obviously, it's cut for a open road truck.
Excuse me, could he use the microphone so that we can hear his comments on the photos?
It's okay.
So I'll repeat. So in the picture here, I see that one of our off-road trucks is here. It's a small off-road truck I brought to my house to be able to, we get a lot of water coming off the hill. So I wanted to divert the water to further back. So we went through the water would have made it there eventually, but it's, I was trying to control it. So this truck here, that's all that's there for. Any of the other material is from where we dug off our own property, or it's from the town around here, Boston. Like I said, I have no interest in bringing any of this stuff from far away below. Although, make sure that's clear, I'm not bringing anything bad. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Appreciate it.
Good evening, town board members. Tracy Hirsch, 8191 Cole Road. I was the person that purchased that property from Clarence Kreisbender, and then Wayne Kreisbender. I sold Matt that property. I don't know if there's a few things that people, neighbors may not know. There's a natural spring on that property. And that natural spring flows to the west. That was the reason that Matt dug the swale and put the fill in the back, so that that wouldn't end up going further to the west. The barn, when I purchased the property, was falling down. It was in complete disrepair. Matt fixed that barn up and did a terrific job, not only with the barn, but with the foundation. He also, unfortunately, ended up with a fire at that property. And subsequent to that fire, that property has been completely redone and has done an excellent job on it. I can speak for that as a contractor. There really hasn't been, I have sold some of the property that's up there on the hill to several different people. Those people plan on building on that property. That area that Matt's talking about is low. It's always been low. It hasn't even been an area that's been able to be farmed by Kreisbender because it's low. So I don't see there being a problem as long as Matt is bringing the fill from within the town. No different than what I did on Boston State Road. As long as I was bringing the fill in from the town, that's exactly what I did. The equipment up there, I mean, he can't push it around with a lawnmower. He needs the bulldozer to push the fill around. And I've talked to Matt. I believe that if he brings the fill up there, he'd be pushing the fill around in the area that's needed. I'm not quite sure exactly what the commercial endeavor is. I believe that Matt has his business at another location. So I don't see where Matt is operating a commercial endeavor. He excavated that foundation for the barn because it was falling down, so he can't do that with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. All right, he was out there with the proper equipment, excavating it, pouring a new foundation, and then I believe that excavator left. I don't see him leaving the stuff up there anymore. I have sold the property to an individual that is right next to Matt. So I don't see, they have not gotten back to me, neither have the other two individuals that own property now as part of the old Kreisbender farm. I'm not quite sure. I've got several pickups myself. I'm not quite sure what the pickup thing was. Matt has a pickup, I've got a pickup. I don't know, quite a few people own a pickup. I have a couple nice cars. I think Matt has a couple nice cars. Personally, I don't see that to be relevant to anything that he drives back and forth to work or to his business or whatever. It is important though to note that there is a natural spring there. And it's sectioned off when it gets, when the Zittles pay that field, they go around it. That was something that has been there for a long time. It's marked, it's on the hill. So I'm not opposed to Matt bringing that area up if he wants to do something with it in the future, so. Let's see. I talked about the swale. The swale was something that was really needed to keep the water off the natural right-of-way of National Fuel. So he put that in there. So he's put the swale in, he's put trees in as a buffer. He's put a lot of pine trees in. And I don't know, it's a low area. It could use some fill in there. As long as it comes from within the town, I sure wouldn't have a problem. I still own 60 acres of that farm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tom Langmeyer, and I am at 7100 Omphalia, so I'm up the hill from Matt and the two new landowners up there as well that Tracy had sold the land to. And I received a note from the town questioning, or bringing this question to the group here. And I think that maybe the note itself set off alarms. Because as I understand it, Matt has got this fill that he's working to fill that low area in his lot. So as I read it, it looked more nefarious than that. It was, I mean, that's what he's doing, is filling in that low area there, that it's not running the business. I do understand that there was history, which has been resolved, and I would say in the time that I've been, going past the house, whether this is relevant or not, the house was beautifully restored. The barn has been restored. There's flowers. The lawn has been restored. The porch, there wasn't a porch on the house, and that was put back. So my point being that I think that whatever was behind, that whatever happened before was past, and I think that everybody's an understanding about that. And that Matt does have a site to operate his business from other than his residence. And so that if there's fill back there, it's actually being put somewhere. And to Tracy's point, you have to have equipment to do that. And then the other just point of just thinking about it is, I'm hopeful as being a person that's new to the town, that if anybody ever has any concerns with me or I with them, that we would feel comfortable just to be able to walk down the street and say, hey, this is what's going on, or hey, I noticed this, what's happening here. Because this is a lot of people's time and effort, and also probably emotionally weirded out based on the fact that they were worrying about something that isn't something that I think is something that you should worry about. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lady Brown, 758 Pennsylvania Road, neighbor to the current address that we're discussing tonight. My concern, I pulled up the meeting minutes from 1992, and there's stipulations on there. It was pretty shady when zoning was originally changed because none of the neighbors got letters that it was gonna happen. And after it happened, we tried to fight it, but we lost. We couldn't because the decision had already been made. Now there's stipulations on here
that are not being followed. I don't know how, I don't like it there, the noise and the dust. It even says it here that the dust has to be controlled. You're going to be dumping stuff, there's going to be dust.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robin Smolinski McChesney. I'm representing my family. Excuse me, we just lost my father, a lifelong resident of Boston. I want to thank you for your patience with my emotions. Thank you all for being here and what you do. I know that it takes a lot of your time, and you probably are sick of hearing all the griping, but thank you for what you do for our town and to keep it nice. Our family is all about pro-business, pro-work. I think that as some people spoke, there was a lot of confusion. I think some of that is on the town's part. And Matt, I will say, I've been up Umphalius, and I was a little girl when the Kreitzbenders lived there, and what you've done is beautiful, but there are rules to follow, and it isn't the new age of always asking for forgiveness versus permission, so you really do have to follow rules, whether it's on your property or not, that big of a thing. So I'm sorry for what you're going through up there. I'm speaking on behalf of the Zimmerman Road issue, but ironically, we did not receive a letter for the Zimmerman Road issue. We received 2 letters for the Umphalius property. So I really think that there's a lot of confusion, as the gentleman before me spoke. But regardless, there's 2 very different issues here. It seems like it's very confused and muddled. I can't speak to Umphalius Road, but that was the letter that we received at our home at 5509 James Drive.
I just want to interject.
Sure.
The letters that came from the town board and myself as the town clerk, that was not the letter that was sent out. That was sent out by the code enforcement office. So there was some confusion regarding those letters.
Absolutely, but why would the code enforcement send that to me from Umphalius, and we never received your letter, and our property and my brother's property butts up to the site on Zimmerman?
We looked at the map of the town, and its property owner, you bought right up to it.
My brother Ron's property butts right up to it, ours is next, and then we have an access on Zimmerman to our property in the back.
If he was a property owner that touched the property on Zimmerman Road, then he would have received a letter from me.
Okay, well then, I can't speak to that, but I just think that the whole thing unfortunately looks worse than maybe it is, as far as the communication or the lack thereof, but it's in my backyard, and it is obviously loud, it's noisy, it's unsightly. I too have the information about Mr. Whitmire and his property. Again, when you're asking for a fill permit, but you already have all kinds of fill on the property, and I'm speaking to the Zimmerman Road property, that's really concerning. And, you know, there's all kinds of talk through town and such. Apparently, the gentleman that is the code enforcement, it sounds to me like he has had issues, but he's not being backed by the board. So only you guys know that. We don't, but you could, you know, address that if you would like. We're all for business, but doing it right. And the original information states that the site is approved for the storage of 7 10-wheel dump trucks or 7 other trucks of a similar size and configuration, and to be put away and not to be seen. And that is not what we see or hear or experience with the noise pollution, the air pollution, and such. So we are against the fill permit. I feel bad, nice young couple trying to make a living, do right, but you still have to follow the rules, and having a construction business in a not for zoned area sounds like a real problem and really should be considered how you want to move forward, because what is this going to say as our town grows, that people can just do what they want and then file for a permit? A question that I do have listening to everybody is, if he was putting that much fill on Umphalias, shouldn't the permit have been applied for before the stuff was dumped there? Just a question that I have that maybe you'll address. I thank you for your time. I wish you the best, sir and ma'am, but you gotta do business and you gotta do it right.
Thank you.
I'm opposed, by the way, did I say that?
Hi, my name is Brian Shilley, and I live at 7091 Village Road, across the road from basically Matt Polo's place and everybody else that's bought up there on the hill. I understand that this has been an ongoing issue up there, and I do feel for the people that live downhill with water concerns. That is a definite concern. But how long is this permit good for if you should be granted? 1 year.
Fill permits are on an annual basis.
So is it going to be another hearing after 1 year?
If there's additional fill, yes. That's the process.
Only if it's additional fill?
Well, once the fill permit, I don't know if you had an opportunity to see the fill permit, but if you look at the fill permit, it has to be specified where the amount, the location is to be placed, and based off of that permit, that was what allows the town board to review the information, make the determination to approve. Once that amount is approved, if there's additional fill that needs to be brought in, it has to come back in front of the town board. That is a process. We actually had updated the fill permit. There's been a long-standing fill permit with the town, even before all of us sitting up here, that existed. We modified that permit to be relevant with some of the demands of today. Also, there's another issue, I won't draw attention to it, but there's another area in town where truckload after truckload of fill is being brought into an area, and a permit also was not sought for that.
Okay, that would be Zimmerman Road?
No, it would not be.
Okay. Well, I can't speak on those
No, that's fine.
locations.
But no, we had modified that to be more specific, respectfully, as you as citizens and taxpayers, if you ever wanted to either come into the town clerk's office to view that document, or even submit what's called a FOIL request, for your information law request, you can take a look to see what Jason Keating did, what type, where the fill's gonna go, the amount of it, et cetera. But that fill permit is available online at the town website. It's a publicly available document.
Okay, yeah, your website's rather difficult. As far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of ambivalent about this. He already has the fill on the property, and to truck it off the property is just more of an issue. Let him finish that, give him 1 year, and go forward and no more. So, see if he can accomplish his goals within the 1 year. I'm talking Umphalias Road again. I can't address Zimmerman Road. I don't live anywhere near there, and I very rarely ever go by that area. Other than that, I do know about the water problems. I myself, at my property, we have 2 springs that come right out of the ground, which I cannot cut unless it's in a drought. So I understand all that and trying to fill it in, but you know what? I tried that and it just doesn't work. It's just like a sinkhole. I don't know how to explain it. It just swallows it up. But good luck. I would say don't bring anything more in, okay? And end it at 1 year. Give them 1 year to finish the project, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
talk again, hello again. So as far as my property ends at Lane Road, I guess same thing goes, like a lot of these people, I had no idea that people were this upset about anything going on down there. I know there was one or two, but no one comes to talk to me about anything. How am I supposed to help anyone or change anything, like if we're working too late or if we're working too early?
We shouldn't have to, that stuff shouldn't be there.
Okay. So,
Isn't the stuff that he has on his property come from his property? Some of that came from the swale that he just dug next to the right-of-way for National Fuel. And some of it came from the excavation for the barn.
Respectfully, Matt has the floor.
so, I guess I apologize for what people are upset about. I brought my business down there with the understanding everything was okay to do what we're doing. We hashed this out in, a few years ago, whatever it was. And we have letters from the town stating that we bought a C2 property, and it was contingent on, us buying the property that we were allowed to work there. So, and it was said in court that we were allowed to store our equipment, store materials, run our business as is down on Zimmerman Road. That's why we were there. If we didn't get our okay to do that, why would I have done that? Like, I've spent so much money down there to make the place so much nicer. We painted the building, we changed the parking lot around to keep the water on our own property, if there were problems with it going on the neighbor's property. So I spent a lot of money to fix that, to appease the neighbors that were close to me that had said something to me. And, I can't fix a problem if they don't know about it. As far as the rust goes, we do our best. We're trying to keep things neat and clean. I know the place is not very neat and clean right now. I'm trying. We did the parking lot last year with blacktop, keep mud off the road, keep dust down, try to keep things clean. That was a lot of money we put in the parking lot. I'm trying to make everything better and nicer. Planting trees out front to hide things more. Trees can grow overnight, it's gonna take a while, but even if people wanted a fence, so they didn't have to see it, I'll build a fence, but no one's asking to. I'm sorry for the people that are upset, and as far as like the asking for forgiveness after we've done something, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. Otherwise, I would have dealt with this before. I don't want to have to go back and redo stuff and do stuff different. I solved a lot of things, but I didn't know. So, as far as the permit goes down the shop, the permit down there is retroactive. It's for the fill that we put in our parking lot to change the grade, so we kept all the water, so they go on the neighbors. We get all the water off the road, comes down the hill over our property, we get all the road from the top of the hill to 219, so I contained all that and took care of it. That's what the permit's for, it's not for any of the things we're doing there. We got piles of dirt, that's our business, we keep things there. It's my understanding that we're doing everything as we should. I was unaware of us doing anything wrong, so this is kind of a surprise to me, so.
So you want to read right here that it says all materials shall be stored in or stockpiled within the building?
Is that right?
There was, for, Mr. Whitmire, when he was running his C2 business there. So
I understand that, but that never got brought to my attention.
and then that would be on you guys.
Well, that would have been on the really, at least my takeaway, my opinion is why we're all here is the clarification. So I hear what everybody's saying. So the C2 rezoning, there was legislation passed that rezoning could be done by board resolution. That is, respectfully, that is kind of out of character. Most rezoning applications go through Department of State. Anyone of you as taxpaying citizens should be able to go to the New York State Department of State, view that because it's on file with the New York State Department of State. That was a change way before any of us here at the town board, but there was a process put in place that by board resolution, it's handled at the local level. I will very openly state on record that that is the only parcel that has ever been handled that way. Any other rezoning parcel after that transaction has always been filed with the Department of State. So respectfully, when Matt came into my office and had a conversation with me, trying to clarify and understand the C2, I found the same document. I presume we're looking at the same board meeting minutes for the stipulations for the storage, et cetera, the number of vehicles. I handed that to Matt. My assistant, she found it, she printed that information off, provided that to him. But again, that was not something, I guess, to say that we respected, that we were aware of. Hit the rewind button, respectful of Matt, that would have been a real estate transaction. The town does not get involved in real estate transactions. So again, I could be completely wrong on this, but I do believe that's where some of the confusion that came in, just because this was a little bit about the normal, at least from my understanding of the situation. That process was done during the 219 extension back in the day. I don't know how accurate that is. You may have some of those specifics. But again, we're trying to balance all of this. So yes, people do ask and have asked code enforcement and myself, why is there a C2 in a residential area? Well, that's why, because it was changed by decision of the town board at the time.
Thank you for the clarification, but you stated you handed him this paper and he just stated he'd never seen this paper. So what's the rules there? Because this poor guy is trying to run a business and I respect that and I encourage that.
As do I.
But it needs to be where it should be run in very, I mean, I feel bad for you, I do, but it's still a residential area.
Agree that. I would agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Yeah, I would agree, and that's where code enforcement would be respectfully working with the property owner.
And is he here tonight?
Yes.
He did pop in.
He's in his room. Can I say something? The town maps say it's C1. Why are you saying C2?
And here goes back to the confusion, right? So
Who's on first?
it did say C1, and again, what I believe is that because it was not filed with the Department of State, that's why it was that way. And again, it's not traditional that a resolution changes the zoning in a municipality. Any other municipality, if you take a look at the language and how that process is followed, and again, respectfully, any parcel after that transaction had happened, that's something that's put on file with the Department of State. I can't change the past. I can only, unfortunately, can only work with that. But I think that's what's
How do we make a
respectful.
happy medium?
Well, the happy medium is that now that we've identified that it's a formal C2 parcel, then those stipulations that are in that document that are there, would be enforced. And that is respectfully, for those of you who don't know Tom Murphy, our code enforcement officer who just came in, that would be something that Tom and Matt would work together on to make sure that those requirements are met.
I wanted to apologize. I wish I would have known it was such a problem. And when I bought the property, I had no idea that. I thought that we were all good to go. I mean, we stood right here and we talked to everyone that was involved and everyone said, yeah, we're good to go. So I go down there and I'm working and then this comes up. What do I do now? I assume that I'm doing everything correctly, and then I went to him, like we just talked, to try to figure out what's going on, and now this gets dropped on us, and what do we do now? So I guess that's the problem, and we got to figure out what to do, so it works, I guess.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, man. One of the conversations that Matt and I did have is to take a look at his deed, work with his legal counsel to help him close on that parcel. Because respectfully, the deed would show, kind of to your point, what's the difference? Actually, I'm sorry, in the back, your question of why does the map show C1 and we have a document show C2? I can't explain, I cannot fully explain the information gap that happened yesteryear. Working and looking at what the information that we have on file today, that document, as I told Matt, I said, this is kind of your ticket, so to speak, to take a look at your deed, because respectfully, the county clerk's office, the deeds are your formal document and would have that specific information on there. So, again, here we are, and I think there's confusion on a lot of it, because this is just something that is It's not normally done this way. It was not normally handled that way. A resolution is not how a rezoning would be handled.
I think all of us know why it was done that way, okay? So let's just, put that off to the side. But today is what the problem is, so who's
Understood.
going to take responsibility for this? And you're the supervisor.
Sure. Well, respectfully, that is something that code enforcement we're a governing board, we're not an
Right.
authority board. So respectfully, that's where code enforcement, based off the criteria that's in that document, kind of to your comments earlier, that's something where code enforcement will work with Mr. Colo to, make sure that those requirements are met.
So are you looking for a comment from me, sir?
Sure, feel free, Tom.
Well, respectfully, Matt brought us the document that said he's C2. And if you read further, it brings in his conditions.
Right.
So you can't cherry pick the document. I don't know how it happened in '92, but you can't take the best parts of the document and disregard the rest. So that's where I'm gonna lean on you guys to help me out. I hate the position that puts Matt in. But due diligence is let the buyer beware.
Yep.
I'm not a real estate broker. I'm not an attorney. I don't know that they list zoning out any, do they?
I would have to believe that
This
there's,
document that we have here says C1, the one that was highlighted.
so the board, right, and that, if you look at the board meeting minutes and see, and here's the whole problem, it goes through. Supporting what I'm stating is that there's multiple different documents under this roof that they're not consistent at all, and therein lies the problem. So, again, we kind of walked into this, we're trying to work with Matt, work with code enforcement respectfully, who's going to be enforcing and making sure that criteria in those board meeting minutes, such as the limitation number of vehicles, equipment needs to be stored inside, et cetera, that's code enforcement. We're a governing body, we're not a board body, so that's where code enforcement will go in, make sure that it's being met. As long as it's being met, we all kind of move forward based off of that criteria. If it's not being met, then that's where code enforcement would have a conversation, give a warning, issue a citation, et cetera. Worst case, absolute worst case scenario, then work with the town prosecutor to have a legal conversation. So, thanks, Tom.
May I be excused?
Yes, sorry to put you on the spot.
I'm right here.
You bet.
Thank you for
Thanks,
speaking,
Tom.
sir. Is there an opportunity to see the paper that she does and say C1?
Sure.
I mean, for making a copy and letting everyone.
Yeah,
know.
it's all part of the board packet
Okay, great.
that's out there. And again, truly, the amount of time that myself, our counsel for the town, we spent a lot, we have spent a lot of time trying to respectfully figure this out. Because at the end of the day, if something needs to be fixed or amended, that's where the town board, again, your point, that's where the town board needs to get involved and make that legislative action or otherwise. But now that we have the documentation, we've clarified everything, our council has advised us that it is in fact a C2 parcel. We know that we're on the up and up, and again, it is the only parcel that has ever been handled that way. And that's the weird part, and I do think that's, again, not pointing fingers to the past, but that I think is what created and kind of manifested the confusion over the years.
That's what we're hearing now.
I understand, fully understand. Yep.
What about the letters that have been written? Are you gonna read them tonight?
I do have those, yes. I was waiting for everybody to finish speaking, yes. Anyone else?
My name is Warren Steinberg, 7812 Eddy Road, and I'm against bringing up any more fill. In regards to springs, before I bought my property, I walked the whole property, and I found that there were some springs on my property, and I worked it out where I built a house between the springs. Been no problems, and I don't think bringing up any more fill up on the hill is going to solve any problems. It's just going to cause problems for the residents, surrounding residents. And it's gonna affect our values of our homes. And I think that's it.
Thank you. As you see me grabbing two letters here, is there anyone else who would like to speak before I read two letters that were dropped off at the town clerk's office today? Okay, don't see anyone else going on. All right, so the town clerk did receive two letters before 4 p.m. as the public notice did state. And the first one reads as follows. This was dated May 14th, 2024, addressed to the Boston Town Board. And this is from Jeffrey A. Snyder, Kathleen A. George Snyder, and they reside at 5521 Jeans Drive, and that's Hamburg, the portion of Boston. And the letter reads as follows. Due to the previous commitments, we are unable to attend this meeting in person, so we are submitting this letter in opposition to the fill permit requested by Mr. Matt Colo at 7631 Zimmer Road, Town of Boston. As property owners in the vicinity of Mr. Colo's proposed fill site, we are already experiencing an unacceptable level of dust and noise pollution. These environmental factors are primary reasons we moved from Orchard Park to the Town of Boston almost a decade ago. Our trust is in this community's peaceful future. It is encouraged to make us considerable improvements to our property, and the board's approval of a commercial fill operation in our vicinity will certainly cause us to reconsider our confidence in town leadership and future as law-abiding residents of the Town of Boston. Further, we request that the town board do the right thing by issuing a cease and desist letter and levy fines or other penalties as applicable to operating a fill site without appropriate town approvals or permits. Failure to deny this request and levy applicable penalties sets a dangerous precedent by encouraging those who wish to conduct unapproved business or other activities on their property the ability to do so without fear of retribution. We trust that you will do the right thing. We trust that you will do the right and just thing for those of us in the vicinity of Mr. Cole's proposed fill site and the residents of the Town of Boston. Thank you for your consideration and dedication to our town. Again, that was signed by Jeffrey Snyder and Kathleen George Snyder. The second letter that was turned into the town clerk's office, it's a lengthy one, bear with me, reads as follows. Mrs. Sandra Quinn, hello, I am Jamie, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this hyphenated name correctly, Gulino Davis, homeowner of 7601 Zimmerman Road, Hamburg, New York. I'm writing in response to a letter I received from the Boston Town Board regarding a fill permit application submitted by Matthew Colo at 7631 Zimmerman Road. I would have loved to be present at this meeting, but unfortunately I have a conflict with the middle school parent orientation tonight. Please be advised that my husband, Joshua Davis, was approached by Mr. Colo on April 21st, 2023, asking us to sign off on a templated letter offering approval for special use permits for commercial storage and a screening of topsoil, in which we did not sign. We did not sign as in bold. We did respond with an email with numerous inquiries which can be seen accompanied to this letter in addition to Mr. Colo's responses. You will find that the responses are very vague and seem to be in the nature of an act first, figure it out later mentality. With that said, Mr. Colo has been kind and responsive if addressed, and we are interested in navigating the situation that works well for all. This series of emails and pertinent to this current permit application, as they establish a handful of outstanding questions that are still unanswered, and also addresses fill over a year ago. The letter that we submitted to Mr. Colo is also vital, as you will see that we were and have always been under the impression that the property at 7631 Zimmerman Road is filed being zoned C1. Considering Mr. Colo responded with a thank you and felt validating that he was approved as well. Zoning records within Erie County also show that this parcel was zoned C warehouse. I share this because under the original stipulations in the property, the zone, along with the legislation in place, noted right on our town website that there seems to be conflicting requests based on what should be permitted. With that stated, please note my following concerns. These are all bulleted, they're not numbered. The permit, so I'll just call them out by number. Item 1, the permit application was filed on March 15th, 2024, and the work was communicated that it took place in 2023. Item 2, the application appears to be for completed work that took place at the rear of the property, yet the town notice dated 4/24/24 or 22/24 appears to be for fill stored on the property, which appears to be currently happening at the front side of the property. After receipt of the town notice, I personally experienced commercial vehicles, Palmieri Paving and Sealing dumping numerous truckloads of hard fill at the front of 7631 Zimmerman Road the following week. The next item, item 4, the town notice dated 4/22/24 addresses a permit application to store 675 cubic yards of fill at 7631 Zimmerman, and it's beyond apparent that the piles of hard fill exceeded the cubic yardage being applied for and possibly voted on. Next item. If piles of fill are permitted, whose responsibility is it to monitor the cubic yardage allowed? The next item, in an email response on 4/24/23, Mr. Colo responded to me stating that the property would have no more machinery than what was there at the time based on the Google views seen in the town agenda notes. This is not the case. Next item, in an email response on 4/24/23, when I inquired about screening and piles, Mr. Colo communicated that the excess fill will be hauled out over time. It has since at least quadrupled since then. Is there a duration of which a pile would be removed should it exceed the approved amount? Next item, it is communicated to us that this property is zoned C1, which is also stated in my communication to Mr. Colo. This makes it extremely clear what can and cannot be done on the property. Next item. Based on the notes attached in the agenda, it appears that there may be discrepancy in zoning dating back to 1992. If this is the case, that the zoning still has stipulations in place in which the scope of work taking place today still exceeds. Next item, if there is a discrepancy in zoning, then this needs to be legally addressed. It is unfair to the residents that have invested time, money, and energy into a matter that could have been responsibly addressed. Next item and final item. I am concerned that as a homeowner that this made a healthy investment in this beautiful town and is excited to raise my children here, that I'm being failed by the same system that is supposed to help protect my property value. As fellow business owner and neighbor of 7631 Zimmerman Road, it is our wish, as stated in my email from May 20th, 2023, from Mr. Colo, to have a thriving business. It is my request that a homeowner to receive clarity on the zoning and the property located at 7631 Zimmerman Road and how it will be remedied moving forward. I open and available for further communication. Signed, Jamie Golino Davis. And again, all the supporting emails were part of that letter that was sent to the town board. Yes, ma'am.
There should be one more letter. If you don't have it, I have it.
Yeah. I submitted one as well.
I also submitted a letter, but
Kristen Pinker, there was a letter.
Pinker is about Ophelius, or, yeah, that one's about Ophelius.
So they're just going to the board.
Like the letter?
Because that's not the letter. No.
Who's it for, ma'am?
The Ellers.
That's right.
Dollars, yes, that's all. Okay. All right, the next item, Robert Ellers, dear Town of Boston board members, we respectfully submit this letter and direct response to information that was just given to us less than 48 hours, I'm sorry, the ink in this is less than 40 hours prior to the public board meeting that is addressing their request for a fill permit on the property of Mr. Colo at 7631 Zimmerman Road. This is very unnerving that the residents in the vicinity of this address were not notified of this town board meeting. The property has become an eyesore to the community as well as a noise and dust pollutant. We find this unconscionable that this property is being currently used without proper permits. I'd like to know how this business is being conducted legally, illegally. It must be stopped immediately. Fines and penalties should be levied for operating this site without the proper permits. As residents of James Drive for 38 years, we've raised our children here and have enjoyed and would like to continue to enjoy our quiet, peaceful neighborhood. It would be a travesty to allow this fill site permit to be granted, continuing to operate and disrupt our neighborhood. As we are not able to be in attendance, we submit this letter on our behalf. Sincerely, Robert and Cheryl Ellers.
For the rest are for Valius. Carol Braunscheider, Kristen Pinker, and Lindsay Lipinski and Vincent Beltrami.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, another one. Dated May 6, 2024, from Lindsay Lipinski, Vincent Beltrami, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, residing at 6754 on Bailey's Road, Holden, New York, 14033. Members of the Boston Town Board, we received this notice of the scheduled public hearing for 7:40 p.m. on May 15, 2024, on the application of Matthew Colo for permit to store approximately 400 cubic yards of fill at 7008 on Phillies Road, Town of Boston. We are unable to attend in person, would like to submit written comments on the application. We moved to a 17-acre property on Phillies Road in the fall of 2019 after falling in love with the bucolic and peaceful surroundings of the Boston Hills. We feel fortunate to be able to enjoy the company of our pets, grow fruits, vegetables, and experience the beauty of the changing of each season without leaving our home. We have found our neighbors to have each of their own dreams consistent with how they have established their homes and adjoining land. Each of our desires are different. Our neighbors have been conscientious on how their plans may affect those living nearby. We have done the best. We have done our best to do so in an effort to be good neighbors and community members. We appreciate the chance to address our concerns about how we think we may be affected by the fill permit application. We are concerned about the noise resulting from the dump trucks used to transport fill. Phillies runs up a steep hill, and the trucks really have to work hard to get up and down the hill. The extra effort from the trucks is audible to us, even though we are set back from the road, and must even be more disruptive to those who are positioned closer. We are concerned about when the trucks will be working, if they will be coming and going during evenings, weekends, that might intrude on peaceful enjoyment of the outdoors. We are located downhill from 7008 on Phillies Road and have concerns about what may be in the fill. Our presumptions is that this fill is a result of a commercial excavation. If it is not clean fill, the runoff from future rain may affect our animals, our pond ecosystem, and our vegetable garden and fruit trees. After having a chance to review the application documents, we have questions about whether more fill has been stored than what was noted on the application. We would be concerned if this is intended to be an ongoing practice year after year. Both the increased truck traffic and the potentially large quantities of fill could negatively affect the perception of our neighborhood. We do not wish to unnecessarily stand in the way of Matt Colo using his property to advance his business, as long as the impact of his neighbors is continually considered. Thank you for including us in your input for your review. Sincerely, Lindsay Lipinski and Vincent Beltrami. Next. All right, the next letter is dated on May 6, 2024. Town of Boston Code Enforcement. We are writing this letter in lieu of attending the May 15, 2024 board meeting, as we will be out of town on that date. We would like to express our extraordinary strong opposition to allow Matthew Colo a permit to store approximately 400 cubic yards of fill at 7008 on Phillies Road in the town of Boston, New York. First, as residents, property owners who have lived on this road for almost 50 years, we've experienced more disturbing truck traffic since Mr. Colo has moved into the 7008 on Phillies Road residence. We are aware that he has a business located on Zimmerman Road. We are thankful that some of his business equipment is secured at that location. However, there are still some trucks that we believe that are owned by Mr. Colo that run up and down on Phillies Road. The speed and the noise impact have been extremely disconcerting for a rural road that was previously was far quieter with less heavy truck traffic. In our attempt to deflect some traffic noise from our home, 2 years ago, we spent thousands of dollars to have the most visually attractive fence installed and stained as we could manage. Unfortunately, this did little to buffer the noise. We understand time moves on, but feel this is unacceptable. Secondly, we have only just heard of this permit application by word of mouth from our neighbors. Should all residents living on Phillies Road who will be impacted if this permit is approved have been formally notified? That would be all residents living on Phillies Road, not just a few surrounding homes, as the traffic noise is a detriment for all residents. For those of us who have the value of tranquility and stability of what we have had in the past without additional truck traffic pollution, feel that is wrong to approve such a request. Next, what exactly does fill mean? What does this fill consist of? How are the contents determined, and who regulates it? Is this something that can be potentially hazardous to people or the environment? Would it be possibly stored by the creek that runs all the way down to the south side of Montpelier Road? Will the fill be spread out to fill in where Mr. Colo may have a void and where he would perhaps like to put in a building? Would this be an ongoing fill site, or will it be one time only? If not, what length of time and how many truckloads will be running up and down Montpelier Road, creating more truck noise? What is the purpose of storing the fill at Mr. Colo's residential location? Why couldn't it be stored at his Zimmerman Road business location? Is this fill to mitigate a problem? What is its purpose? Will this fill and the approximate 400 cubic yards be monitored by the town if the permit is granted? Even if this fill meets all environmental requirements, the objection of heavy truck traffic and noise pollution impact in disregard for the surrounding neighbors is not acceptable. Would this 400 cubic yard capacity be consistent move that once depleted will be refilled repeatedly? It does not sound like it would be a one-time request. The Natural Resources Conservation Services United States Department of Agriculture speaks of, and we quote, backyard conservation shows you how to conservation practice to help conserve and improve the natural resources on agricultural land across the country can be adapted for use around your home. These practices help the environment and can make your yard more attractive and enjoyable. Whether you have a rural acreage, a suburban yard, or a city lot, you can help protect the environment and add beauty and interest to your surroundings. We have not had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Colo in person, but have heard good things about him and the work he does. He has also done an exemplary job of beautifying his residential property at 7008 on Montpelier Road. We are delighted to see all the improvements he has made to his residents. On our objection to the fill permit only helps keep Mr. Colo's property looking as distinctive and clean as it presently is. No matter where he plans to store the fill, the transport of the fill is what is most objectionable. We believe that the majority of the Montpelier Road is residential and indicates that Mr. Colo's property is zoned agricultural. An excavating company should not be allowed to store equipment, fill, or anything related to a business that is not agricultural. Finally, we thank you for your consideration in denying the request from Mr. Colo's permit to store approximately 400 cubic yards of fill on his property. If the board feels otherwise and they do allow Mr. Colo this permit, please indicate that this will be a conditional one-time only allowance with a reasonable time element dictated and not be a routine occurrence. Please register our concerns for this upcoming vote. Respectfully submitted, Deborah and Paul Werner, located at 6716 on Montpelier Road. Those are all the letters that I have.
Kristen Pinker.
Sorry?
There's Kristen Pinker and Carol Bronchido.
Yes, for the next one. All right, so we now have Kristen Pinker located at 6872 on Montpelier Road, Colden, New York 14033. The letter reads, Dear Mrs. Quinlan, I am ready to express my opposition for the approval of the fill permit to our neighbor Matthew Colo at 7008 on Montpelier Road. Our property is the second house away from the applicant, down the hill on the same side of the road. I understand that in late 2019, Colo made numerous attempts to gain approval from the town of Boston to operate his business, Matt Colo Excavating LLC, from his home on Montpelier Road. He had already been operating his business from his home, albeit without approval, which was creating an unreasonable noise, dust, and drainage problems for us as homeowners. After much debate and input from the neighbors, his request was declined by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Subsequently, Colo Excavating moved his business operations to a location on Zimmerman Road. I was surprised last year to see that Colo had started dumping waste from his excavating business at his home address on Montpelier Road. We could hear the dump trucks entering and exiting the property and the land moving equipment operating frequently. Of late, he seems to be digging holes and burying the fill on his property. Recently, he has been moving heavy equipment in and out of the property as he did before he began these commercial activities before receiving approval from the town. We object to this activity for several reasons. First, it seems a fill permit is typically used when people are using fill on their property, such as building a house. For example, the permit asks the purpose to which the fill is desired and the start and finish of the fill operation. It seems that the repeated dumping of fill as a waste product from a commercial operation is a misuse of this type of permit. According to the DEC, fill from an excavating project is considered waste until it's categorized by type and either disposed of properly or used on another project. As a downhill neighbor, we are especially concerned about the runoff from these operations. What waste has he already buried? We have areas of our lawn that are continually wet with the recent rainfall. I wonder if the runoff from the fill he has dumped at his property and the excavation of soil for the purposes of burying the waste has caused these drainage problems for us. Further, the same noise and dust issues that were a problem for us in 2019 will resume if this permit application is approved. Since there's no project at this residence, will the applicant be able to continually truck fill in and out as long as he does not exceed the amount? The dump trucks themselves present a nuisance which prevents neighboring properties from the rightful enjoyment of their home. This activity would surely violate the noise ordinance set by the town of Boston, which is 60 to 70 decibels. Lastly, Mr. Colo has a history of violating the town code. In 2019, he continued to operate Colo excavating from his home, despite the repeated cease and desist orders from the town. Last year, he began dumping and burying waste without any attempt to obtain the required permits. He operates a willful disregard for the town code in consideration of his neighbors. I would ask that the town board carefully consider the impact of these business activities will have on the neighboring properties, just as they did in 2019. Colo excavating should be required to confine these excavating activities to the location of their business located on Zimmerman Road. Sincerely, Kristen. All right, last one. This is for Mrs. Cronshaw. So, Mrs. Quinlan, thank you for your letter, April 22nd, 2024, regarding the fill permit application submitted by Matthew Colo at 7008 Umphalius Road, town of Boston. I oppose the approval of the application, which I believe would only support the continued commercial use of the property at 7008 Umphalius Road as a satellite site for Mr. Colo's business, Matt Colo Excavating LLC. My property at 6878 Umphalius Road is immediately adjacent to Mr. Colo's on the west side. Mr. Colo has a history of using the residential property at 7008 Umphalius for commercial purposes, and that continues today. Since 2018, the town of Boston, its zoning board, and code enforcement office have addressed the concerns of neighbors regarding activities at 7008 Umphalius directly related to Matt Colo Excavating, including but not limited to dump truck traffic in and out of the property, staging of the excavating business on the property, the transport of heavy equipment in and out of the property, the dumping of materials that have been brought in to be either stored or buried on the property. Since the spring of 2023, Mr. Colo's dump trucks have regularly transported loads to the site just south of the pond on the property. This was done without a fill permit and continues even while his current fill permit application is pending. One of the most recent dumping activities took place on April 30th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. and was reported to the code enforcement officer. There is also regular excavation of the dump site, and some of the material dumped has been buried. Mr. Colo has also frequently transports heavy equipment to 7008 Umphalius, where it is stored for various periods, and the opening to make it an eyesore. The commercial use of 7008 Umphalius Road significantly impacts my property in the following ways. One, it devalues the property by having commercial operation next door. This is a residential neighborhood. Mr. Colo's excavating business operation should take place at his business address. Two, the dump is an eyesore located directly across from my pond, where I invested considerably in landscaping and pond maintenance. The water quality in the pond has been adversely affected by the excavation of the dump on a regular basis. What materials have been buried here? The runoff comes to my property. Three, heavy equipment, truck traffic, and excavating operations next door have impacted drainage on my property. I have never had standing water on my property in the 43 years I have lived here, even in West Springs, as we are having this year. However, I do now. I ask that the town board deny Mr. Colo's fill permit application and stop the commercial use at 7008 Umphalius Road with its negative impact on my residential neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration, Carol M. Braunchild. And this was copied to our code enforcement officer as well. Okay, no other comments. I will close the public hearing. definitely appreciate it. So, as a town board, you know, this is some of the conversation that happened downstairs. We've been provided a lot of information here to respectfully digest. So, with the conversation we had downstairs, I would like to make a motion to keep the public hearings open, and at a request that our attorney for the town seek additional information from the applicant's counsel. Motion's on the floor.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Cardicchini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And what that means is we're just gonna do some more due diligence on behalf of the applicant and on behalf of the townspeople. I mean, that's really the function that we serve to the community is, you know, to hear both sides of it. That's the point of a public hearing, so that everybody has an opportunity to speak and be heard. You know, so we're gonna try to find an equitable solution for everybody with all parties.
Okay, so,
You really want to open the 3-minute floor?
I don't know if anybody else is here, but it is on the agenda.
Yeah.
So,
Just one more question to that, and I appreciate all that you just said, Councilman. Will there be another meeting scheduled and the town residents notified, or will this just be decided and then we hear
No.
the outcome?
So when you leave a public hearing open, it remains open until it is officially closed. Any correspondence or any sort of topic related to the meeting will be on the agenda going forward. If we don't have anything to discuss, it's probably still gonna be on the agenda. You know, probably a quick call would, you know, whether or not, you know, the work has been done to resolve the issues. That would likely be the next opportunity where we would hear additional comments from people, maybe disclose what, you know, the work behind the scenes that's been done to, you know, the discovery of the C2, C1.
So it would be listed public hearing or
Absolutely would be.
update or something so that we don't just get blindsided that the decision's been made, it's been closed and it's over?
you would see that under the old business, so the public hearing, since it's remaining open, you would see that if you have a copy of the agenda, you have new business, you have old business.
Yep.
So that public hearing would remain open, it would be listed there, and, you know, of course, you can contact my office, contact the town clerk anytime, but that would be listed there, and we would have the information. But we did have some conversation, and Councilman Cardicchini said it best, you know, we're trying to balance this. There's some things that were different, there's obviously some disconnect, we have documentation that was different, we've got a lot of this kind of hammered out, and then I will state that, you know, this board did modify the existing fill permit, and we made it much more comprehensive, just because, again, there was another matter in town. It's really great to see the people come out, and I thank you for coming out, all of you coming out tonight, but we did have a full courtroom once before on a fill issue, and the way to resolve that was to, quite frankly, modernize that fill permit with much more detail, locations, et cetera. And again, the fill permits have always been a one-year fill permit use, and that was not changed. So going forward,
I do recommend that the board goes up there and see what it looks like.
I've seen both. I live up on George, it's public record, I live on George, I drive by the Zimmerman location frequently, and when I head over to East Aurora there's a supervisor meeting where supervisors convene over to Aurora Town Hall, I go up either on Thalias or Wheeler, I drive by the properties, so. Okay, so the public hearing has been closed, but our first item, since we have a schedule.
It's not been closed. It remains.
Well,
open.
sorry, geez, yeah.
Moving on to another
Sorry,
topic.
that's why I get read too much. But we do have item number 1, which is request from the floor. So if there's any other items that we'd like to discuss on the agenda or anything that the public would like to bring in front of the board, the microphone is open. Please go off the microphone, state your name and address, and at this open floor, it is a 3-minute time limit, please. The floor is open. Going once? There we go. Good, that had to be somebody.
My name's Pam Zelensky. I live at 8951 Boston State Road. I just wanted to thank the town folks who came out to our fishing derby. We did have 64 anglers this year, so successful event. We had, you know, beautiful skies, clear ponds, so I just want to thank the town for, you know, coming out and spending the day with us at the Conservation Advisory Council Fishing Derby.
Thank you. Thanks to the Conservation Advisory Council, they also cleared a lot of the weeds and lily pads and other things out of there to make a great event, so, yeah, great job. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. Keep things moving right along. Again, we've handled items number 2 and 3. Item number 4 is Resolution 2024-34, which is a New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, -2024 for the New York State Water Grant. And Councilwoman Martin, would you like to take that item tonight?
Sure, Supervisor. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-34, which addresses the repair and maintenance of the Boston Water System's water main and pump station infrastructure in Water Districts 1 and 2. It gives the authority to the supervisor to submit a 2024 New York State WIIA grant application in the amount of $10,090,000, of which the town is requesting $5 million in grant funding. The Town of Boston Town Board agrees to fund its portion of the cost of the project by way of general obligation bond or a series of bond application notes. I make a motion to approve submitting this grant application.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Item number 5 is Resolution 2024-35, adopting a revised schedule of fees. And Councilman Karakini, would you like to take that item?
Sure, thank you Supervisor Keating. I'd like to adopt Resolution 2024-35, which is adopting our revised schedule of fees.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 6 is Resolution 2024-36 to approval of a HVAC maintenance agreement. And Councilwoman Selby, would you like to take that item?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-36, where we would take the lowest bid, responsible bidder, which is J.W. Danforth, in the amount of $4,280 for the maintenance of the HAVOC systems of the town buildings.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 7 tonight, under our new business, is an appointment to assistant to code enforcement. So we had some conversation downstairs in an executive session. So I'd like to make a motion. There's 2 qualified individuals. The first one being Norm Quino, and the second individual being Rick Pitak is his last name. I'd like to make a motion to appoint both of these to a part-time position. Norm Quino at the amount of $25.25 per hour, and then Rick Pitak at an amount of $21 per hour.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item number 8 tonight is approval for new members, which is always great to see, to the Boston Volunteer Fire Company, Joshua Michael Tardik, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, and also Brian Teagarden. Councilman Karakini, would you like to take that item?
I would be honored. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Joshua Michael Tardik, and as well as Brian Teagarden, who have both passed their arson and sex offender background checks. And I'd like to make the motion that we approve their duty to the Boston Fire Company.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 9 is an application for use of the facility. And there's actually 2 for the Boys and Girls Club, so numbers 9 and 10. There's 2 use facilities, and Councilwoman Martin, would you like to take those 2 items tonight?
Yes, Supervisor, the Boys and Girls Club has asked to use the Lions Shelter and bathroom facilities for the dates of July 10th and July 31st from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. as a backup location for their event that is being held outside, to be under shelter and still be able to have their event. I make a motion to accept this application for use of facility and foregoing their fees on that, as they do a great service to the town.
I'll second.
Councilman Zelby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item 11 is an application for use of facility for Jennifer Bulger on June 8th, 2024. And Councilman Karakini, would you like to take that item?
Sure. We have an application for a use of facility from Jennifer Bulger. She's requesting the Town Hall Community Room with kitchen. The date is June 8th, 2024, from 11 to 3 p.m. It is a memorial gathering for a long-term town employee, Sharon Bulger, and I make a motion that we adopt this use of facility and waive the fee.
I'll second.
Councilman Zelby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, that is all for our new business. We have one item under old business. That one item is a resolution 2024-26, adoption for vehicle usage policy. Take this item, we had some conversation about the vehicle usage policy. This has been on the agenda before. I'd like to make a motion to approve the vehicle usage policy for the town of Boston.
I'll second.
Councilman Zelby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, that is it for old business. Reports and presentations. Highway Superintendent, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Over the last couple of weeks, guys started doing some paving work. They've been changing some culverts. They started doing some roadside mowing. And the only other thing I got is my new employee starting next week. Ryan Baker is here tonight. I'd like to introduce you to Ryan. Let's stand up.
Come on, Ryan.
Already refused an order. Hold on.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Zelby, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Welcome, Ryan. Usually our meetings are not this long, so I give you a lot of credit for saying
hanging in
But
there.
I do thank everybody who came out tonight. It's great to see everybody here expressing what's going on, and we will definitely do our due diligence and do what we need to do to make things right for everybody. Just wanted to quickly say I visited a drainage issue behind Patchen Fire Hall with Richie Hawkins, and been in contact with Mark Gaston from Erie County, and we have to revisit that to make sure there's no problems back there with our erosion right around our snowmobile trail there. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Councilman Karakini, you have the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor Keating. I'd also like to welcome Ryan Baker, but I would like to ask Bob to make sure we have all the paperwork into the office so he can start work next week. Real excited to add a young member to the team. I think you made a great pick, Bob, and look forward to your dedicated service to the town for many years. I'd like to publicly thank the Boston Fire Company for allowing me to volunteer at their sportsman's raffle. I've done that a number of years. I offer a day of service to each of the volunteer fire companies in the town of Boston, and I'm very proud to give that day. It was a greatly attended event, and I'm always amazed at how they can break down something that takes, I don't know, 3-4 days to put up in a matter of maybe an hour. It's remarkable. But I wanted to thank them for that. And I'd also like to personally welcome Joshua Michael Tartik and Brian Teagarden to the fire service. That we just got done negotiating the contract. Not at liberty to disclose it yet, but it's great to see new people come into the fire service in the town. The one great thing that the town has is when people are in need, we have people that serve. And there's members of that fire service in our audience tonight, and it's very valuable to the town as a whole. And I'm very personally invested in the people, the men and women that serve. So, and I'd also like to thank the CAC for putting on a great fishing derby. It takes a lot of work to put those things together, and 64 anglers is pretty remarkable. So, you know, hats off to you guys. And lastly, I would like to thank everybody for coming out. You know, there was a period of time in this town where the board may have been less agreeable, a little more hostile towards, you know, people coming to speak. I hope everybody knows that you have an audience in each one of us. We're here to listen, we're here to move the needle where we can, and, you know, there's a lot that goes into decision-making, and, you know, we're thoughtful about it. In the case that the vehicle use policy was old business, that, you know, I was certain would probably pass, but we didn't really have meaningful time to dialogue about it. We also spoke about that at the agenda review tonight. You know, there are some of us that are more involved with, you know, state and federal policy than, you know, than others. And if there's something that we want to do or we see value in as a town, you know, it's important to have the time to discuss it thoroughly and really understand what it's about. And, you know, the way that the last vote happened was incorrect and rather forced. I was not happy with the way it made the board look. But again, we're respectful of each other, we're respectful of the townspeople. And that's been a real change in this town that I would really like to see continue beyond the 5 people that are on this board currently. So thank you to everybody that came out tonight. It was great to see so many people that were concerned and invested in things that matter to them. Because quite often, these meetings are 20, 25 minutes at most, and there might be 4 or 5 people here. And that counts Chris. So, you know, Shane and Jay. But that's all I have tonight.
Thank you very much. Councilman Martin, you got the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor. First, I'd like to offer my condolences to the Bulger family on their loss of Sharon. She was an asset to the town, and she'll be greatly missed. I attended the Maplewood Cemetery meeting as I am secretary, and just so everybody knows, there are 700 graves left. Didn't realize we had that much property available at that little cemetery, but it should make our cemetery viable for the next 100 years, which is good news for the town, because when the cemetery is no longer viable, it gets absorbed by the town and becomes our responsibility. So if anybody's looking for everlasting property in the town, we're available. Just contact myself or Vanessa and we'll get you hooked up. And then on behalf of the cemetery as well, I'd like to thank Highway Superintendent T-Lack for your continued help and support of the cemetery. We couldn't really stay viable without your help. We appreciate it. That's all I got for tonight.
Are you gonna ask about passing them 2 spots on the driveway?
Oh, yeah, so during work session, I talked to Highway Superintendent T-Lack about continuing to help us with 2 things. There's an area of pavement that continues to slump, and he brings old millings and stuff and his crew over, and they patch it real quick for us when the weather's good, and he has stuff for free. And then also helping out with offering his roller and tractor so that we can roll the back part of the cemetery, just so that our lawnmower doesn't bounce quite so much and fall apart on us. So he offered his services, and we will gladly accept them. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor Keating. I just wanted to remind everyone that there is a free rabies vaccination clinic that is offered by Erie County. That will be Saturday, May 18th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Buffalo Public School 84. And the Boston Memorial Day service and parade. So the parade will start at 1 p.m. at Faith United Church of Christ and proceed to the town park. The usual participants of that are North Boston and Patchen Fire Companies, along with the Boston EMS, Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts. The main program is under the Town Park Lion Shelter at 1:15. Music will be performed by the Boston Town Band. And please come join us. Everyone is welcome. Remember to bring a lawn chair or a blanket. And the next Connect Life blood drive will be here in the community room from 2 to 7 p.m. Tuesday, June 4th. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a handful of things to report, and then I will get into some of the questions that were asked during the public hearing. Just wanted to bring to everyone's attention, if you haven't seen the Buffalo News article, this is not a political comment by any stretch, but there is a public hearing that is going to be held tomorrow night downtown. The Erie County Legislature has proposed a local law. And again, this is in the Buffalo News, and I'm going to try to get some information to get it out on a town website. But essentially, if this local law is passed, which it is presumed that it may, then this November there will be an addition on the backside of the ballot when you go to the polls. If it in fact passes at the polls, what it will do is it will take away the supermajority voting at the county legislature. And this is again in relation to sales tax. It's a 1977 process and act that was put in place, and that's how Erie County shares sales tax with towns, villages, etc. And with that being said, again, not a political statement, but whoever essentially is the county executive, doesn't matter party affiliation, or has control of the legislature, they have the ability to make motions, vote on those things without seeking public input. So even our respective legislative representative who's there, voted by the people to represent them, to have a voice for them, yet they may be stripped of some of that ability to have a power or a voice. I intend to go down with other supervisors and mayors tomorrow to City Hall. There's going to be it's going to be at the City Hall front steps. We're going to do a press conference there, and then tomorrow night we all plan to be present for that public hearing. The reason why this is important, why I bring it up at a town board meeting, is that sales tax is again shared with towns and villages. If you happen to take a look at the budget presentation that myself and the bookkeeper put together, if you look at the pie chart, we do a pie chart and we overlay by numbers. So if you're a visual person, you can see quick. If you want the, kind of the meat and potatoes of the numbers, you have the numbers. But over a quarter of our budget is made up of shared sales tax. If that dollar amount potentially is reduced, that's one of the theories, that would be a direct impact to all of us as residential property owners. And again, that's not Boston. That is every town, city, or I'm sorry, every town and village. Some of the philosophy behind this, we'll see a little bit of a trend here. If you follow the news, the city is asking for additional funds. There's a theory that additional funds will go to the city, less funds will come to the towns. And again, to make that up at the town level is going to be interesting, to say the least. It will be interesting to see how this plays out. It'll be definitely something to watch come November, should this pan out. There will be media coverage tomorrow, so I would direct people to watch media outlets tomorrow. There will be conversations by the minority leader and other representatives at the county legislature, and then also supervisors across Erie County. So we'll see what happens there, but it is something that has, it needs attention, again, which is why I bring it up here at the town board meeting. We'll see how that goes. This morning I did attend the Rural Transit Awards Breakfast. If anyone is interested in volunteering for rural transit, we have the van out back. But if you're interested, you have the time, even a few hours of time, reach out to Rural Transit and please consider volunteering for them. They do a great service for our community, getting our senior population to and from doctor's appointments and providing services to them. There are two wonderful people that serve the town of Boston and also Colden. Other communities, respectively, they have 7, 8 people. So whenever there's a call, these two people are taking the brunt of those calls day in and day out. So can't thank them enough. Very honored to be there to give them their awards this morning. But again, we certainly, if you have the time, I know volunteerism is tough in today's world, but if you have the time, that would be a great opportunity to serve the community. Wanted to provide an update on the front steps. I know the town clerk and I fielded a handful of phone calls, people coming into our offices. We're still working on it. It's the easiest answer I can give to you. There's been some construction issues with the concrete, and the concrete steps that are there, you know me, I'm an open book, for those of you who know me, they're possibly going to be taken out when the front steps were poured and the work was done the day after it rained, and there's ponding. It wasn't deep, but there was ponding water there. Certainly unacceptable. That's taxpayer money. So took photos, sent over to the engineer. Engineer followed up with the construction company that had bid the project. Again, this is all a bid out project. And there's some discussion right now that it is most likely that those front steps are going to be taken out again, and we'll try for one final attempt. I wish I had better news on that front steps. We were hoping to have the town hall, the front entrance open before now, but I guess we just can't sometimes control those things. I will also state that it is not an ADA accessibility issue. I did have one resident with a pretty heightened concern regarding ADA accessibility to the town hall. The front steps are not ADA accessible. Just for the record, there's no ramp, there's no ADA accessibility when it comes to steps. That's why we have a back glass entrance level with the ground and an elevator. So once I explain that, I think we're all on the same page here. But sadly, that project is going to take a little bit longer than anticipated. I'm hoping to get that done. We keep pushing them. We're hoping to get that done sooner than later. But that is an update I just wanted to share with everyone. The WEA funding resolution that we applied for tonight, we have not been successful in the past. Fingers crossed, we will hit that mark this time. I would like to certainly publicly thank all of the residents that sent in letters. We have over 30 letters of support for this funding. We have letters from our fire companies. We have pictures from Savage. We have pictures where we've had water line breaks with 30-foot geysers in the air. That's the type of information that actually makes those applications, believe it or not, better than one that's just simply asking for funding. But we are looking at approximately over $20 million in funding. There's a dedicated town website for that. I will keep everybody updated as if we are awarded any funding there. There's a comprehensive plan meeting this coming Monday. So we are going through a comprehensive plan update. And if you haven't seen any of the markings or the yellow paint outside around the building, don't be alarmed. That is the markings because we're getting a generator for town hall. So I should knock on wood, but we haven't lost power recently. But we were losing power on a recent frequent basis. We made the decision to get a generator here. So we do have power, we can serve the public, and we can be much more proactive in that sense. Moving on to the public hearing, there's a lot of questions there. I think a lot are, quite frankly, summarized in the new fill permit. And respectfully, I mean, a fill permit can be filled out on an annual basis, so that is a case-by-case scenario, if you will. It comes in front of the town board with the supporting documentation. Public hearing is part of that process, and with that being said, I mean, yes, I mean, technically, I know Mr. Colo, or Matt's, Mr. Colo, I call Matt, is not here right now. But I did tell him, I said, if he intends to bring in fill, that's the process, because also respectfully, if fill is brought in from outside of the community, it happens to be from a soil that is, I hate to use the term contaminated, I don't want to cause alarm, but if there's soil that is not clean, if you will, we as a board have every right to understand what kind of fill is coming into our community, hence that updated fill permit. So there's a lot there. As far as the notice, the requirement is that the notice is for surrounding parcels. I know not everyone received it. There was some concern there. Of course, as you heard in the letters, other people want to be notified. Unfortunately, it's not the process. It's adjacent parcels. It's very similar to if an applicant went in front of the zoning board of appeals, then those adjacent parcel owners would be notified, and there would be, let's say, everybody up and down the street. I use that as the example because that's what was brought up. I did have a whole bunch of questions from Mr. Russo. Covered the permits, the DEC permits. Town of Boston is part of an MS4 district. This is going to be a huge topic that the public will be hearing more about in future board meetings. New York State DEC is really kind of clamping down and ramping up requirements for DEC permits. DEC permits, again, you're going to be another 15 minutes if I start talking about them. But if there's any kind of permitting process that's required, that would be followed based off the fill permit application. That fill permit application should, in good faith, draw out that need for any additional requests for information. Traffic, respectfully, I understand the concern there. If you look at New York State highway law, vehicles traveling up and down a road to drop off fill, if Jason Keating wanted to put in a new foundation or build a house, that's considered as local traffic. It's considered a delivery vehicle. I know people don't like the noise, I know people don't like the dust or otherwise, but traffic going up and down, New York State, I don't make the rules, I take a right hand to follow them. Traffic sadly is not exactly something that we can regulate in that context. Cover the fill. There was a question who to call. Respectfully, to be code enforcement. Again, the town board, you can certainly, as Councilman Cardicchini said, we're always available to the public. But respectfully, when it comes to enforcement of code, that is on the books of the, it's on the books for the town. That would be the code enforcement office, because they're the ones that will be going out and making that determination. They've had the New York State certification to then, if necessary, issue a stop work order or otherwise. Again, runoff, that is also a DEC matter that could potentially fall under Councilwoman Sully kind of did a name drop. His name's Mark Gasson. He's with the Erie County Soil and Water. He and I both sit on the Erie County Water Quality Committee together, but that would be something that if there was a water quality issue that potentially he may be involved with. And then I think I've covered all the other questions with everything I've just stated. So I think that's it. If there's anything I missed, please feel free to stop me at the end of the meeting. Happy to chat with folks. I know this has been a long meeting. I do, as everybody else said, I'll echo the same. It's nice to see people come out. It really is. I appreciate everyone coming out, taking the time out of their personal lives. But with that being said, I'll make a motion to end meeting 9:27 p.m.
A second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Carafini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned.